And we're going to be continuing our discussion of joy, kind of exploring it in our lives and in our practice. And, we would think that opening ourselves to joy would be easy, that we'd welcome the uplift, but it isn't always easy. There are a lot of things that block our hearts from taking in the sweetness. It could be our busy and distracted minds, and we just miss opportunities. Or it could be envy or resentment that arises and blocks the naturalness of joy. Jay spoke even about vulnerability, of opening in this way, and this too can hold us back. So it's a practice, and we begin to practice where joy is most accessible to us, where it comes easily and it feels natural. If I was to ask you what brings you joy, or when joy comes easily to you, some of you might say music. Some of you might say being with children or grandchildren. And many of you will likely say being in nature. At least that has been my experience when I've posed that question before. Lori spoke about reminding herself about joy on her daily walks around her local pond. So what is it about nature? What is it that makes it feel like a solace and enlightens us up? When we go outside and immerse ourselves in the world that feels bigger than us, all of that selfing, all those thoughts about what is me, my, mine, they can more easily slip away. We're among the trees. We can feel the freshness of the air. We can see the play of the sunlight, and we're surrounded by nature. And the constriction that those thoughts, me, my, mine, create inside, they loosen. The heart has more space to come forward. As John Muir says, cares will fall off of you like falling leaves. A few months ago, I spoke about belonging in nature and how we're a part of nature. If we slow down and quiet ourselves just a bit, we can feel this. We're in relationship with the world around us. And although we might not articulate it out loud, we know it deep inside. We connect and our hearts respond. And this is the underpinning for joy to arise. So although we really can't make joy happen, we can create the conditions for the heart to relax and open and connect. And it can be so simple. Maybe we happen upon a chipmunk, chattering away, gathering food, racing from stone wall to tree trunk, safe place to safe place. Nothing extraordinary. It's simple, everyday things. And it touches us if we choose to pay attention. I lead what are called Awake in the Wild retreats. And these are retreats where we bring our meditation practice into nature. We use nature as our teacher. And we tap into all the wisdom available to us and around us. These retreats are generally held in silence because when we're quiet, we're best able to listen, sense, and feel the natural world. And I'm going to speak a little more to that tomorrow. I usually begin with simply sinking into the senses. And unlike the practice that we do in formal meditation with our eyes shut, minimizing sensory experience. In nature, I take it all in. I enjoy all the sights, sounds, smells. It's the cool breeze on my cheek, the fragrance of the apple trees, the vivid blue of a clear sky, the symphony of sounds, even my galumphing body moving through space. I'm opening to it all. And it's not to get lost in it and carried away, but to relish in it, to be present and awake. Some of my favorite places are the ones that offer big views, panoramas. And I think a lot of us are drawn to these kind of places, whether it's the top of a mountain looking out over the vastness of green, or the beach where the water reaches out to the horizon. Even imagine a favorite place like that for yourself right now as I speak. The spaciousness that we see, we can feel it inside. It opens us up. And maybe even joy bubbles up naturally. It's contentment. It's awe. To me, it almost feels like a big a big exhale. And I've learned to love the details too. There's a practice that we offer called 1 square foot, where wherever you are, spend some time looking at 1 square foot in the landscape and check out the details. Notice the life that's happening right here in front of you, because it always is. It's amazing, I think, how quickly and easily we become interested in the details. It's the pattern of the pine cone. It's the industrious ants climbing the tree trunk. It's the feel of the mosses covering the rocks. A lot that we might miss if we're moving quickly and with a determination and a purpose. But in these moments, it seems to rise effortlessly. It's curiosity, it's wonder, it's awe. There's a term that's been coined to describe the way nature holds our attention and engages us. It's called soft fascination. This is the quality of attention that we hope for in our practice, really, isn't it? It's not too strained, but it's very engaged because it's really interesting. Nature offers us an invitation. It draws us in, and sometimes perhaps in a way that the breath doesn't always do. So I want to relay to you an experience I had when I was recently on retreat, and I was staying in a yurt nestled in the woods by a brook. And I would spend my days sitting and walking on the small deck outside the yurt. And each afternoon, I would foray into the woods or along the stream, letting my body really lead me where it wanted to go. So on one sunny afternoon, I waded out into the brook and I sat on a rock right in the middle. I was feeling really peaceful. My mind was quiet and contented. And I was watching the pattern of the water as it flowed by, trying to see if I could watch a water bubble as it rushed by, which isn't really that easy all the time. Our eyes want to stop at certain places. So as I was doing this, I saw, almost by chance, a snail on a rock just by me. And I noticed it. And then I looked back at the pattern of the water. And then I looked back and I couldn't really tell if the snail had moved or not, but I thought it had. I wasn't really trying to be interested, and yet I became more interested. I was being drawn into the reality of this snail, how slowly it moved. I was watching and wondering, where was it going? It left a light trail of moisture behind it as I realized that it was moving just towards the edge of the water that was passing by the rock. I watched for some time, and I really don't know how long it was, but the snail made its way to the water's edge and seemed to dip its head in the water. And its antennae pointed straight up. And I had this spontaneous, deep feeling of mudita. I was so happy for this snail that it seemed to be enjoying this water so much. You know, maybe I was anthropomorphizing, and I really don't know. And, you know, it doesn't really matter because I could feel the uplift. I kind of felt the exuberance that I imagine the snail did too. It's funny, this snail really touched something in me, in my heart. And I'll never look at a snail in the same way again. So whether it's looking at a panoramic view or noticing the intricate details in 1 square foot, when we feel connected and engaged, our hearts are touched, and frequently joy arises. It might feel exuberant coming in a moment, or it may be a quieter, a deeper joy that we can carry with us. We can't make it happen, but we can practice so that joy becomes more familiar. Mindfulness, interest, warmth, and connection in our hearts. Mary Oliver, who I think a lot of you maybe are familiar with, has incredible observation skills, and her wise heart touches on these heart qualities in almost every poem she writes. And here's just a part of one where she says, "Every day I see or hear something that more or less kills me with delight, that leaves me like a needle in the haystack of light. It was what I was born for, to look, to listen, to lose myself inside this soft world, to instruct myself over and over in joy and acclamation." Sometimes reading poetry helps. It points us in the direction of opening our hearts, but nothing feels like the experience. And there is no shortage of uplifting moments to experience in nature. We could walk from one to the next if we're mindful and interested. There's an unending abundance, and that's such a good thing to remember, to feel into when we begin to feel envy, resentment, even vulnerability. Remembering the free offerings and the bounty in nature can help us to open just a bit more fully to others' joy. So I really encourage you to let nature do its magic with you. Take it in. And I'm going to go out on a little limb here because I want to actually end with my favorite joke. Don't often joke with the daily sit, but it's my favorite in part because it's really the only joke I can remember. But it's also about a snail, and it's about joy. So I know that if my husband were listening, he would be rolling his eyes. But here we go. What did the snail say when it got on the back of the tortoise? "Wee!"